The Zelda movie. It was one of the first predictions we did here on the WDW Pro channel. Of course, this thing only started January 1st, 2023. And within that first week, we were already covering the forthcoming NCU, Nintendo Cinematic Universe, The Legend of Zelda, coming to theaters. Now the mainstream has caught up, and they have questions. And luckily for them, because we'll give them the stuff they get to cover the next day, we have answers. I can't tell you the amount that it needs to make, and I can't give you a timeline, but I can say that if this movie does well, you can be guaranteed that a Zelda movie will be on the way in the future. Not a Mario sequel. I don't know anything about that, but I can tell you that there are people watching, and should it reach a certain number, we're going to a Zelda movie. So if you want to see Zelda on the big screen, like I think most people do, go watch this thing 2, 3, 4 times. If it gets good reviews, if you like it, okay? We're not going to... All right, folks, welcome back to another fun video here on the WDW Pro channel. Happy to explain entertainment and keep you ahead of the culture curve. It's what we have been doing. It is what we are doing. It is what we will be doing. So let's strap in and let's do it again. As we get ready, if you want to click that like button, we like that. Share, subscribe, and you can stick it to the algorithms when you click it. We're talking about the notification bell. Joining me to chat about Zelda and the latest scoops I have, we have Jonas J. Campbell, investigative reporter for ThatParkPlace.com, and FAT, as in, what did we say here, Jonas? What's that acronym stand for?
Pretty Hot and Tempting.
Pretty Hot and Tempting. Fat Steven, JFG. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Good to be here to objectify Steven.
Yeah, that's right. Objectification.
Pretty cute and tempting, yeah.
Achieved. All right, we are starting with an article out of ScreenRant, and we are happy to answer the questions provided by Angel Shaw of this website. And I know many of you out there are excited to receive those scoops, as excited as you would be for a bowl of homemade ice cream. But hang tight, we'll do it. Let's get the article first. The Legend of Zelda movie has the opposite problem to Super Mario Bros. Chris Pratt backlash. Oh, wasn't that a backlash? Please give me more backlash. I hate having the second highest grossing animated feature film of all time. No, not backlash. I love some of these articles. Chris Pratt's Brooklyn accent in the Super Mario Bros. Movie invited backlash. No, not the second highest grossing. But a Legend of Zelda movie would have an even bigger voice problem. Here's what it has to say. The Super Mario Bros. Movie faced backlash for Chris Pratt's Mario voice. How many times can we say backlash, and how more animated can I be with it? And The Legend of Zelda film could face a similar problem, just the opposite. Illumination's film based on the classic Mario games has been an overall success. I would say so. Second best ever? That's an overall success, guys. Overall. I love this article. Illumination's film based on the classic Mario games has been an overall success and has opened the door for other Nintendo games to get their chance as an animated movie. However, as these games and their characters have been around for decades, there are inevitable problems that come with adapting them to a new format. And don't worry, folks, ScreenRant and others, they will monetize the heck out of these perceived inevitable problems. In the case of The Legend of Zelda, the Hero of Time's voice presents a unique issue. Now, it goes on to talk about how difficult this will be because, well, Link just doesn't talk very often at all. We can come up with some examples. Perhaps we'll discuss them. But, the idea here is that because Link doesn't speak usually in the Nintendo games, what are we going to do about how he's going to sound? What accent will he use, etc., if a movie is made? Now, gentlemen, I've already basically told you both what we're hearing in terms of the voice actor. But before we get into that reveal, I want to get your take on this. Specifically, do you think that the media, that they attempt to stir up controversy where none exists, i.e., the backlash supposedly to Chris Pratt's voice, that it manifested absolutely nothing in terms of harm to the movie?
You know, in any pop culture conversation, there is a higher likelihood as it goes on that Star Wars will be mentioned, but I'm just going to go ahead and throw it out now. When people like this talk about Star Wars: The Last Jedi, they pretend like it's a small contingent of fans that had a problem with the film and it's overblown. But here we are saying that a few months before the Super Mario Brothers movie came out, some people doubted whether or not Chris Pratt could pull off a little bit of an Italian accent, and that's backlash. I think the box office is pretty clear on this issue. Nobody cares at all.
Excuse me, Princess Jonas, for a second there. Really, I thought the biggest thing is like trying to find the voice that is going to be the next legacy of this character. That would be the biggest problem when I see this article title. Chris Pratt or not, whoever gets chosen to voice Link is going to be the voice of Link till they change. And that's a stepping stone in itself. The whole Chris Pratt thing,
years.
Yeah, the Chris Pratt thing sounds more like a backlash bait click mentality, because this is what happens with these news sites. And I don't even think it holds up. He did a great Mario. Some people differ, but it didn't change or ruin the film in any instance, did it? No.
Well, I mean, it was overall, I guess, kind of a success, maybe.
Oh no, it was a horrible failure. It didn't even exist.
They would have blamed it on him had it not succeeded. I'll guarantee you that.
Yeah, yes.
Some of my favorite rumors, by the way, were going into the Mario movie. You had some YouTubers out there claiming that Chris Pratt was no longer a big Hollywood star. He did not have roles lined up for him after Mario. What was he going to do?
Can we hash?
He's one of the biggest.
I want to ask a question. Can we hashtag this as Brooklash?
I like that, Brooklash.
Yeah.
All right.
Prattlash.
Well, here's the scoop, folks. We're going to get into this as we do. Please note that this comes from one of the same sources that let us know about the Nintendo Cinematic Universe, that let us know about the forthcoming Zelda movie 5, 6, 7 months ahead of the trades, ahead of the other scoopers. And here's what they have to say. Apparently, there is an actor who is being targeted by the studio as the lead get for the Zelda film. That is, the negotiations are not complete, the contracts are not signed, but if they had their druthers, the studio is aiming for Tom Holland. So let's talk, gentlemen, about Tom Holland potentially as Zelda. Or excuse me, as Link, starring in Zelda. Although in today's time, he could do both.
Wait, if that's going to work, then doesn't Robert Downey Jr. need to be Zelda?
Maybe, perhaps. I don't feel so good, Link. But here's a thought for you guys. One of the things that I'm being told is that the studio is going at this in a different sort of setup than usual, a different pattern. So typically you would have the entire script down. You would be, things are just out of order because of the writer's strike. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that because they cannot finish the script at this time, and therefore they cannot start the film into production because they were not quite completed, they're having to do everything else that they possibly can do and then come back because they want to, and we're talking about Illumination here, they want to be able to hit the ground running day one once the writer's strike is completed. They need to move as fast as possible. They would have, in a perfect world, liked to have already been working on this as Tears of the Kingdom came out. They're running behind now, and there's no sign out there that this thing's going to stop. So we could go all the way until the holidays before this writer's strike ends. So it makes sense to me that they're trying to reach out to actors. They're trying to reach out to everything they can to get the things in place so that day one, boom, they're off and running.
I think that is referred to in the video game industry as a sequence break.
Yes, followed by a speed run, if we're doing video game analogies.
Yep.
So, Steven, what do you think about Tom Holland? Would he be a good fit for Link?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to go back and watch his movies, especially with like Uncharted. Tom Holland might be good, but I think they should start looking at other voice actors that might have a longer standing, especially with him with Spider-Man and other contracts.
Well, so here's the thing, and I want to go to Jonas on that. That's an excellent point. He's already doing major roles. However, I don't know that he would be speaking with the same accent that he uses for Spider-Man. Jonas, do you think he would be using a different accent, perhaps his own naturally born adopted accent that he had since he was a small child when playing Link?
Wow, that's kind of mind-blowing. The idea that they might actually use in this fairy tale medieval setting, that they might actually genuinely give Link a British accent.
I'm just wondering, because that would be an easy way for him to differentiate himself from some of these other characters that he's already played.
Well, of course, there's that aspect and differentiation, and the voice of Link, to have him speak for the first time, except for him to go and ha and wah, whatever he does in the game, because that's the only vocalizations that character does right now, other than the iconic "Excuse me, princess," which would make him sound like '90s Spider-Man.
But it basically has to come into the film somehow, some way.
I think what they would do here is they would bring in a very specific audience that would guarantee that this film would be a hit in 4 quadrants if you bring in someone like Tom Holland, which is the 15-year-old girl demographic.
Oh, I had not thought of that.
They really like Tom Holland if we just follow the numbers on that. So you'll have men and boys interested in this because of the history of the franchise, the multi-generational aspect. But if they get a teeny heartthrob here to play Link, as in not small, although he is a small guy, great actor.
You're saying if Zendaya comes in and plays
no, please no.
We need something that we can meme for his fairy, just so we can hear that meme come to life of, hey, listen, and have that concept going on.
But from a 4 quadrant perspective, I think Tom Holland, just by the numbers, is a great choice to bring in girls to watch this movie.
Absolutely. So let's get into an article real quick. We'll do this, and then I want to get your take, Stephen. But let's do this article because it confirms what we're hearing about the pause for this film. But it's also interesting because the mainstream media is missing it big time. So let me explain why. This out of EuroGamer.net by Tom Phillips, who I am sure 99% of the time gets it. Super Mario Brothers movie sequel paused due to writer's strike, Chris Pratt says. He says it's really shocking to me how successful that movie's been. The interesting thing about this is Chris Pratt actually never said that. So let's dive in. Mario voice actor Chris Pratt has discussed the inevitable sequel to the box office breaking Super Mario Brothers movie and said that news on what comes next should be coming soon. Notice he was not talking about the sequel. He was saying what comes next. And as we have all seen from the clip, Chris Pratt has said before that all of it, the NCU, is coming. Here's that clip right now.
Beginning of many, many films, I think.
I think so. The NCU, the Nintendo Cinematic Universe. We're going to see them all.
Exactly how soon, however, seems to depend on the ongoing writer's strike, which has shut down much of Hollywood. We're in the midst of this writer's strike, and so everything has been paused and on hold for the right reasons, Pratt told Entertainment Tonight. I really do support the WGA and our writers, he continued. When the negotiations have been completed and the writers feel comfortable moving forward, then it'll be time to start talking about what's next for that. And folks, we know that it's Zelda. It's Zelda. Finally, he wrapped up by saying, I expect people would love it the way I was excited about it, but it's truly multi-generational around the world. People love it. They love Mario. It's a really fun, funny, cute, heartwarming movie. And God, I can't believe I'm a part of it. Well, given that Chris Pratt is a Christian, perhaps capitalize the G there on the God. But I do think it's interesting that they are going to the conclusion that the Mario sequel is paused, but there's no Mario sequel that I know of in the works. We're going to Zelda. Then we're going to Metroid. And yes, the Mario characters are coming back. We've covered this in the past, but I'm just amazed that the mainstream continues to miss it. On the flip side of that, though, it does confirm that Zelda is not on the way quite yet, simply because this writer's strike has paused everything. Now, Stephen, you had a thought before we dove into this part of it.
I want to take a hint from I know I'm crossing stuff, but it's still video game related. Let's look at Across the Spider-Verse or Into the Spider-Verse, whichever one just came out.
Yes.
And look at the Eastern voice actors they got for all of those characters. What I think Hollywood should do with that, if Holland doesn't fit, is try to find someone that did voice work for that stuff. Like they got stuff from we call it Death Note and the new Cyberpunk animated stuff, and maybe try to branch out to one of those actors to actually do all the English dub for Link and actually see if they can cross over.
Well, that's a great point, Stephen. I agree with you. And one of the things that I'm noticing about Across the Spider-Verse is it's yet another pointer that good animated films are stronger than ever at the box office. They're perhaps the most dominant type of film possible. It has to be making Illumination feel very good about the potentiality for Zelda's box office revenue. The narrative that we were hearing after Strange World and Lightyear and other Disney flops was that families were scared to come back to the theaters. And we now know that was just a bunch of bunk. In reality, families were concerned about going to see Disney films, apparently. That's what we're seeing also with Elemental. But I think everything's a go for Zelda. Jonas, one of the other things I'm hearing, and again, folks, on these two scoops, these cannot be independently verified. They are rumor and speculation. Simply because the source has been right in the past does not mean that we can verify it now. But Jonas, the runtime that I have heard is being targeted for the Zelda movie is 110 minutes. Now, that is slightly longer than they went for with the Super Mario Brothers movie. It came in at 92 minutes. What do you make of this increase in runtime that allegedly is being targeted for Zelda?
I would say that one, that says to me that they probably have a script in mind, and
Yes.
two, that they have more confidence that they're going to have a hit on their hands.
You know what really kind of stinks about the whole situation is I had heard that they were racing. I mean, really, really racing to try to get this thing into production before we wound up in this writer strike situation. It doesn't sound like they were successful. And I don't know whose fault that is. I don't know if Nintendo was coming in and offering consultation at every step of the way like we now know they did with Mario. I suspect they were, and I don't have a problem with that. But it would make it clear why they were unable to get this thing finished on the writing side of it. We know that they're essentially complete now on the negotiation side for the financial contracts between Nintendo, Illumination, etc. I think it's only a matter of time, but I hate the fact that it's going to take a while longer to get to it. At the same time, it does sound like we'll get a slightly beefier film. Steven, do you think the kids are going to like it if it's longer, or do you think that Mario was a stroke of genius being so fast, so brief as it was?
I think the length won't really matter. And I think the fact that it's going to take longer to come to fruition is a good thing, which means they can actually plan out, not rush, and find the perfections that they want for everything, not just voices and delivery, but making sure they nail all of the visual sets of Hyrule before giving us the Kingdom of Zelda.
You know, that's a great point. The CGI artists, they will have longer now because everything's frozen. So they will have longer now to work on Hyrule, and this might be one of the most impressive films to ever come out of Illumination. Some have been worried that the Illumination style will be inevitable, and I'm not so sure that's the case. I think Nintendo is working closely with them to help them match this up with the style of the games. What style that will be, we have yet to see. Will it be in the style of the Nintendo Switch console games? Will it be in the style of perhaps Ocarina of Time or some other amalgamation of Zelda games? We will wait to find out. But as we do, it's time to wrap it up. Jonas, where can people find you on this great, big, beautiful web out there?
You can find me on Twitter at Jonas J. Campbell, or I'm an investigative reporter for That Park Place, where I like to dig into some of the weird intricacies of the Hollywood press and the production of these things. Meanwhile, I'm tired of talking about the Mario backlash. Backlash. I have to go do some renovation. I have to put tile back above the oven. What is that called?
The backsplash?
The backsplash.
Not the brooklash.
Wah, 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 wah. Okay.
I get it. All right, and Steven, where can people find you on this web?
Well, you can find me usually on my YouTube channel. We'll be doing the demo for Final Fantasy 16 later today, and you can find me on Rumble, the same thing, and on Twitter.
There you go. Links for both of our esteemed guests are in the description down below the video. Make sure you go click on their content and give them a subscribe. You can find more great stuff on their channels just like this. Well, folks, the conversation has ended. Now it's time for the commentary. Down below, click on the comments section and drop a comment. We covet them. We care about what you think. We want to hear what you have to say. The human mind still remains the most mysterious and powerful thing in the universe, and you've got one, so please share it with us. And wherever you are, whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun. Here's the other thing I can tell you about Zelda, which I find to be very fascinating. There is a company out there that is vested in the idea of helping develop the NCU that you would not expect. And by that, I mean the Nintendo Cinematic Universe. And this company has an interest in Zelda. The final thing that I can tell you, based on what my source is telling me, is that for right now, the strategy is to release these Nintendo movies and have them exist in their own worlds, i.e., although we might get some cameos from other Nintendo characters in the Super Mario Bros. Movie, it's not going to lead directly into a Zelda film. And, just the same way, vice versa, Zelda, when it comes out, will not have a direct correlation to Mario, although it may have some Easter eggs. However, if all of this is highly successful, and the number that I have been saying, that I have been told is $700 million for Mario, we don't know what the milestone number would be for Zelda, but if these movies are making their milestones, if they're making their achievements at the box office and then beyond, then eventually what they want to do is bring these movies into an NCU style format, just like with the MCU, where the Avengers tie all of this together and you begin seeing crossovers. But to start off with, they want to do these films separately so that they stay unique and exciting to people who love those franchises all by.
I just found out how to get WDW Pro's information, where he gets his sources. I can't believe he uses. Wilton!
What?
We got a job to do. It's easy to hack into WDW Pro's computer.
You're kidding me. That's awesome. You know any other stuff?
Yeah, just Jonas Campbell told me.
Sweet.
Said Pro underpaid him or something.
A few minutes later.
There. Oh, awesome. Whatever. All I gotta do is hack into this thing. It's gonna be so easy.
Yeah, this isn't
All
a
right,
hack.
grab this picture over here.
Leave it to me.
Oh, no, Wilson.
Job done. What?
No, all we had to do was use the picture because he uses face unlock. Now we gotta go to thatpartplace.com and sub to him and his team on YouTube.
Oh, well, I already did that because I'm smart.